Aloha, everyone. It's Wednesday, and that means it's news day. The DAS team has fished out their favorite stories of the week, and today we'll navigate through stories like what does Trump's recent actions mean for AI? Robots for eldercare, they can help them sit, stand, and even catch them. And NBS makes big announcements and partnerships, including with AWS. We also will discuss a research paper, Absolute Zero Reasoner. It's May 14th, 2025, episode 463, and this is the Daily AI Show. Thank you, everyone, for joining the live stream, and to all of you watching later. Today, I'm joined by Beth and Andy, and I'm Jimmy. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and join the discussion at thedailyAIshow.com. Okay, let's start off with a quick one. This is a quick update from OpenAI, and I got to use it over the last, or at least yesterday. OpenAI announced that you can now download a PDF, easily download a PDF of your deep research, which I was surprised. I didn't realize you couldn't do that in the beginning. While it wasn't really news to me, I just expected that be a feature. But I'm glad they had it on there when I started need to use a good chunk of deep research the other day, or yesterday, I guess. All right. So that's a quick opener story. Who is really itching to talk about their top story for the day?
Andy is.
Oh, Andy, go for it.
I'm itchy. I'm itchy. Okay. Okay. This is in the vein of some pretty amazing advances in the progression towards AGI's key enabler, which is reasoning. And AGI, of course, has some other things that it needs to achieve on, OpenAI's 5-point scale, but reasoning models have emerged. And now there's a new research paper from Tsinghua University, Beijing Institute for General Artificial Intelligence, which is AGI, that I guess they changed the order, and Pennsylvania State University. Okay, so they're collaborators on this research project. And it's not just a paper writing about theory. They actually built this thing, and it's called the Absolute Zero Reasoner. Absolute Zero Reasoning, AZR, is a new framework for training reasoning models without any human data. It self-evolves its own training curriculum and reasoning ability, and this is demonstrated in the context of code because it's learning how to develop code and reason around code development. And the reason that makes for a perfect model of this absolute zero reasoner is that code execution can test whether or not the reasoned code works or not. So it has built in a kind of a self-evaluation in the form of an executor of the code that's developed by the self-taught reasoner. So the amazing thing is that it uses a self-play approach starting from zero, and that's what they mean by absolute zero. It has two different modes within the same model. One is a proposer of a problem, and the other one is a solver of the problem. So this is very, very familiar to me because GANs, generative adversarial networks, use this process of proposing something from nothing and then having the adversarial component of the network, the evaluator, say, no, that's not fitting the prompt. That doesn't look anything like the image that, okay, it says, okay, I'm going to try something else. And then you tell me, and it goes back and forth in this process until it gets to a really nice image where the evaluator says, yeah, that's an image that matches my pre-training as being valid with, components that look like real objects. And it meets the test of, yes, it satisfies the requirements of the prompt. So this back and forth of two different components of a model is built into the self-taught reasoner. This self-play approach has the model autonomously proposing tasks, solving them, and then receiving the feedback that's a function of actually applying that code, executing that code, and then seeing whether that code works or not. When it does this, and it does this through millions and millions of iterations, it reaches state-of-the-art performance in coding benchmarks. State-of-the-art, meaning it surpasses the other models that had tens of thousands of actual coding examples from real, human coders to learn from. This uses none of that, and yet it surpasses the other models. So, pretty amazing advancement, and I think it's relevant to our imagination of how we're getting to an artificial general intelligence, something that can teach itself, that knows how to take actions in the world, all of those things. This is an example of one of the waypoints on that road. And it's just amazing that this has happened just by a small group of researchers, training a specific model. This didn't require billions of dollars of investment in order to get there, except that much of the learnings of AI's billions and billions, trillions actually, of investment, when you add all the other components, including energy and so on, all of that has come to a fore that I think is really impressive in terms of reasoning specifically. Self-taught reasoner. That's my contribution to the what's happening
So,
with it.
so Andy, I wanted a point of clarification here. So this is they created a model that has this framework for learning about things, and the example was with coding. Was there any questions of like what was the next thing that they proposed that they wanted to do, or
The paper doesn't imply that
anything? Okay.
that there's a specific use case that is the next, most valuable thing. But as you know, artificial intelligence right now is making a major impact in coding development.
Gotcha. Yes.
So
Yeah.
here's a model that doesn't need a bunch of training around the code. It can actually develop reasoning capabilities that could be applied to novel circumstances. So if you come up with a new code idea and you give it to this reasoner, it has the ability to adapt itself through this self-play model, adapt itself to novel conditions. And that's an important aspect of AGI is, can it, like humans, generalize its learning, generalize its reasoning capabilities to unseen, unforeseen circumstances? And yes, this model has a method built into it that can achieve that. So no, I think let's just say they did a nice job with coding. They didn't spend a lot of time thinking, okay, well, how else can this be done? There's a big opportunity in coding alone to develop models that have this generalizable ability to evaluate and generate code that can work.
Right. So it's that first big step towards self-learning systems and things like that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
I got to weave.
Yeah.
I'm going to weave that to our good buddies at Sakana AI. If you remember, Sakana AI were our friends who we've never met, but we like them very much, who were behind Evolutionary Model Merge and some other really interesting innovations. They are back at it today. And they said the intro here is first of all, it's introducing continuous thought machines, and they describe their inspiration at Sakana AI. We decided to rethink an important feature at the heart of cognition, and that is time. So the continuous thought machine is a new kind of artificial neural network which uses the synchronization between neuron dynamics to solve tasks. So in it, like what Andy was saying. Now we're going to add a piece of this, which is that the model uniquely uses the synchronization of neuronal activity at its core reasoning mechanism, inspired by biological neural networks, right? So this is bio mimicry in some ways. Regular or traditional artificial neural networks just like make those inferences like with as fast as it can, just without any particular preference for one or the other or those kinds of things. So the continuous thought machine uses timing information at the neuron level that allows for more complex behavior and decision-making processes. So, as it shows thinking through some parts of a maze, and it's a beautiful illustration because this is Sakana AI. So you can see it going through various paths as it's thinking through it. And you give it the ability, it enables the model to think through problems step by step, making its reasoning process interpretable and human-like. And it can, and what happens is that it improves both the problem-solving capabilities and efficiency across various tasks. So now we are just turning up and turning down that lever of time and seeing what it can do. And this, I think, is very interesting moving forward for what this can do for all reasoning processes, but also Sakana AI in particular shows that looking at existing systems and maybe just moving slightly to the side, and what if we change this rather than needing to create an entirely new system or something like that. I really love that Sakana gets really curious about what already exists and then plays with that. And that is an improv tenet called "If this is true, what else is true?" Right?
Yeah.
Let what's true today inform your curiosity.
Yeah. That is my brain is going in a bunch of different directions. And because of those two stories, I still think we should have our mashup event where people just mash up different models. Ever since Sakana announced model merge, I was just like, and the basic concept was take the best bits of each of these models and put them together and you'll get a whole new model. So now, okay, we've got we've got a new model or a new framework from them that takes a look at and the highlighted point for me was we can watch the decisions being made, right? And how we can branch off. That's a looking inside the black box kind of thing. So I'm really interested to follow up on that. And then absolute zero over here, learning itself. Yeah, let's get these two together. Let's what you call, let's summon Gozer the Gozerian. And that's for all you sci-fi folks there. Okay. All right, two heavy-hitting stories, which probably will undoubtedly have decades of impact going forward. I'm going to bring up a small story before I get into my cluster of healthcare weave. Just letting everybody know I'm going into the healthcare space here. But let's talk a little bit about what we announced earlier in the show. Is so MBS is the ruler of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman. And he's been in the news every so often wanting to form a huge AI focused fund, right, from their public investment fund. And right now he says that he's going to put more than $5 billion into this AI zone for Saudi Arabia. So that means they kind of want to build a huge AI focused area for that region of the world. And one of the things that is in the fund, if you want to get some money for it and build things out, AI related, you have to have the data stored locally. So they put that in there so that companies and organizations would build data centers in the area, so that data that they're working with is all in, locally in that area, which, has a number of benefits, but, something we always should, they say follow the money, follow the data. um, and so one of the companies that has you know signed up to be a partner is Amazon, because they're all about being edge computing, all about being data first and creating those hardware links at locations and things like that. So they plan on building infrastructure. All right. And this is part of, I guess, the larger story. And we'll go into this as there's been a couple of major AI related actions that the Trump administration has moved forward on, and so this is kind of all tied into to that entire process. But I think it's significant to talk about because of this stipulation of the Saudis to have the data stored locally on whatever for their AI zone. So something to keep an eye on. There's going to be a lot of money put into this overall project from their public investment fund, their PIF, and we're talking multiple billions. I think the first number that was thrown out was a collective 40 billion that was going to be spent. And this is not just from them. This is also from the companies who want to be partners and things like that to be included into the project. So that might be another major AI spot for development. I'm thinking there might be some parallels to Stargate and the idea, or at least the idea behind Stargate for a U.S. AI zone. So
yeah, that's an interesting development. That's top of the news right at the moment, because the Trump administration and the major CEOs of all the big tech companies are there in Saudi Arabia, and they're doing massive deals. It's almost like these deals came out of the woodwork, but there must have been some preparation before this big convention that is developing there in Saudi Arabia. Simultaneous with that, the Commerce Department rescinded the Biden restrictions on export controls for semiconductors. And that is part of this move where the Trump administration is announcing all these partnerships and investments in the AI sector over in the Middle East, including with the United Arab Emirates and others. Now, the overall big picture of what's happening there is that instead of using regulations and export controls, instead there's going to be commercial agreements that happen on a country by country basis. But what Trump has done is he's brought, actually, it wasn't him who brought over all of these tech executives. They were invited by MBS as well, and they came over. So Satya Nadella is there. Jensen Huang's there. They're all doing big deals. And those data centers that you described are going to accrue to the benefit of Nvidia, because Nvidia is going to be supplying many of the chips that go into those data centers. While at the same time, export controls are going to be maintained on this country by country basis with China and the United States, so that Nvidia can't sell their most advanced chips to China. So there was another interesting little aside in there, is that the new guidance from the Commerce Department states that using Huawei's Ascend AI chips, the Chinese chips that are being built to circumnavigate the restrictions that the United States is placing on, semiconductor exchange with China. The U.S. is saying if anybody uses Ascend AI chips anywhere globally, that's considered a violation of U.S. export controls. That doesn't make any sense at all to me. How can China exporting their own chips to the Middle East, let's say, he's there trying to make sure that it's going to be U.S. manufactured chips that are used in these major data centers there. But how could that be a violation of our export controls on our own companies? It's a new realm of overreach, shall we say, internationally when it comes to semiconductors.
It turns out you can do a lot of stuff if you just say it. So we're just going with that. I'm gonna weave off that with a couple other U.S. government and AI stories. One is that the FDA appointed its first chief AI officer, and the point of this is to speed up reviews to be able to get medication approved to distribution and market faster, and also medical devices. And for those of you who are watching outside of the US, you may not know that you have access to things that we don't because our process is slower. And also you have yes, I'm not going to talk about that. So Jeremy Walsh is the FDA's first chief AI officer. He came from, I think, Booz Hamilton. Like he's a regular person who knows AI, and not just someone who is promoted in government. Stop talking, Beth, because this is not what you want to say. All right. He is there to lead efforts to use AI and generative AI to reduce time and bureaucracy in medical approvals. It's gotten really exciting. It's got the people who approve things fairly excited. Somebody was quoted in the article saying that they were able to complete a 3-day process in like much smaller time, like within a day, a couple minutes. Tools are already being tested for use across FDA centers, and that's expected to roll out through June. So we're really quick to being at that place. So what we're looking for is the initial pilot results and stakeholder reactions, especially pharma and medical technology. We'll see whether AI-assisted review becomes standard. But it does bring regulatory tech modernization, right? And that is what that goal is. It, of course, raises questions about automation and high-risk reviews, and we all want more safety, just faster evaluation of what the research says, right? Like that's a great use of AI because AI can evaluate faster.
I have a couple of weaves off of that in the sort of the medical health arena.
All right.
All right, we're in a new segment, everyone. Now we're going to be talking about healthcare. Lead us off, Andy.
Okay, so the first one I'm gonna kind of dispatch quickly because it's interesting, and I don't have a lot of details on it. But OpenAI released a new health-related benchmark called HealthBench, and they started, applying various models to the HealthBench test, in effect, to see how well they performed with doctors or against doctors, and or with doctors collaborating, and or without any help at all. And the HealthBench results, this is this new benchmark testing, medical clinical reasoning, for example, and solving problems that are
that they created, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they created this test. And O3, their model, does the best of all, of course. But that's amazing. But what's more interesting is that they tested it not just the model alone, but they tested it with human expert doctors working with the AI conversationally to arrive at the answer to the question, and then also just doctors alone. Well, AI supporting doctors to do the test, the HealthBench test, the AI helps doctors do better than doctors alone. Okay, not a big surprise there. That's obvious. But what's interesting here now, especially in the context of the advancement of models and our approach to AGI is that in specific structured tasks like the HealthBench tasks, the latest models, the latest reasoning models, not just OpenAI's, but the other models that were tested, developed results that were unimprovable by human experts. Those experts were, attempting to refine the AI's independent output and could make no advance on the quality of their performance on the benchmark. So the AI alone is as good or better than the human experts, is the conclusion that we take from that. And this is, again, another piece of evidence that the latest models, this doesn't apply to all AI models, but the latest models, including O3 and Grok and others that were tested in this model, Claude 3.7, Sonnet is in there, Gemini, all of these have results in this HealthBench test system. When they compared it, the humans did better than that. Okay, so now set that alongside the other interesting advances this week.
And they were all really close on the benchmark too, right? They were all
Yes.
relatively close to each other scoring.
That's right. Sorry. Okay, so now I'm going to go to brain-computer interfaces. Okay, so this is interesting. These are systems that, require implants typically, but there are other models that are being developed where you just put an earbud in your ear and it's sensing your brain activity somehow through the ear canal. But those aren't as effective as the devices that are implanted. And we've heard about the Elon Musk-driven Neuralink system. Well, there's a new company, not a new company, but one of the players in this thing is Precision Neuroscience. And they have a device thin enough that it can be implanted into the motor cortex through an incision less than 1 millimeter wide. Okay, so this is not a terribly invasive insertion into the motor cortex. And this has been cleared by the FDA for commercial use in patients for up to 30 days. Okay, so you can put the implant in to basically do trial and experimentation to see if that assists that patient in whatever it is you're trying to do with this thoughts into commands, like control my phone. Maybe I'm completely paralyzed, but I'm going to use my thoughts using this implant to control my phone or my desktop, or actually ultimately generate speech if I'm unable to speak, for example. So all of these really important advances in healthcare for people who have suffered traumatic brain injury and or other disabling events, this is one of those ways to improve that. So this will allow Precision to collect a lot more brain data and help the company develop the algorithms it needs to translate users' thoughts into commands for machines for their assistance and or for their communication. So very important there. Also, Apple is taking early steps to integrate control of their devices with brain-computer interfaces. And it's working on a new standard in concert with a company called Synchron. And that company has a stent-like device that's implanted in a vein on top of the brain's motor cortex. So this is like you go to the catheter lab at the hospital, they put a stent in there, it just goes up into a small vein in the top of your motor cortex, and that's the sensor that's required. And now Apple is working with Synchron to coordinate iPhones, iPads, and Vision Pro headsets with the Synchron interaction with the brain, so you can control it with your brain. Okay, probably not going to be used for gaming very soon. But
hold on, Andy. We love the medical science news for sure, but they're going to have to expand. So once they've fixed everything for everyone, then it becomes enhancement, right? Yeah. I don't know about you, but one of my favorite things out of the Matrix was plugging into Neo and him saying, "I know Kung Fu." Just the ability to have access to all that information, and then because it's tied in with your neural system, you can, I don't know. Again, so this is the realm of sci-fi, but
that low, low. I mean, I've gone into a catheter lab and had an angiogram, and it's it's not pleasant, but there's no recovery period. You walk out of the catheter lab and you're fine. Synchron has tested that stent device for neural linkage between the brain and external devices in 10 people since 2019. And so now Apple's working with them to make this work with those devices. So major progress in brain thoughts into commands.
And if
Yeah, super exciting.
If you'd like to hear us, specifically the three of us, talk more about this, join us on Friday for the Sci-Fi AI show, because we could talk about this for a really long time. Junmi, we early on had a request for the AI and science voice, and I see we're talking about it without that. So can you retroactively give us
Sure,
AI?
because I do have a weave story for this healthcare segment in AI, and this will be AI in science. All right, it's always fun, but please tell me if you ever get bored of this. Let me know. I'll stop.
That will not be me.
We want a real echo loop that you use, and get
Right. I should just record it once and then just play it as a thing.
The real intonations right there. Don't
for
fake
sure.
it. Let's get an AI to do that.
There you go. Build an entire elaborate AI system so that I could have that one. Okay. All right. So my AI in science, or the first AI in science story that is weaved with healthcare, happens to deal with eldercare. All right. So the folks at MIT have built something called the E-Bar. It's a mobile robot designed to physically support the elderly and prevent them from falling as they move around their homes. E-Bar acts as a set of robotic handlebars that follows a person from behind, allowing them to walk independently or lean onto the robot arms for support. So this is a robot version of your walker that can provide support for the elderly, but it's souped up, right? It follows you, so you aren't obstructed by having to wear something, because there's a lot of solutions where you wear something to protect you, or you have to carry something around like a walker or a cane or whatnot. This just follows your movement. And one of the cool things is it's like a transformer. It folds up, right, to help you if you're sitting, help you stand, right? It's something that you can lean on if you lose your balance or whatnot, but just a general safety device to help you as you either are recovering or just moving from point to point. But what I thought was very interesting, and almost like talking about it, the article from Science Daily goes into almost describing it like you would a luxury vehicle, you know, and talking about its capabilities and all of the features and components. But the feature that I found most interesting was to protect anyone who actually does fall, they have an airbag system. So if you fall, these airbags release and create sort of like a cushioning system for you, so you don't hurt yourself through your fall. And I was like, in my head, that sounds like a luxury vehicle, but it's just all of these features, and they've already built a prototype. It's called E-Bar, and so they're testing it out now. It's a transformer that helps people move around. What's up?
I have a weave in robotics.
Yeah.
So Tesla has the Optimus robots, and there are other makers like Figure and Unitree. But Tesla, just like they got their major advertisement from Donald Trump at the White House, Tesla Optimus robots are being demonstrated at the Oligarchs Summit over in Saudi Arabia right now. You could expect that.
Is that what it's actually called, Andy?
Well, no, that's my term for it.
Oh, okay. I made it.
Anyway, the Tesla simultaneously released a new video showing their Optimus robot dancing. It's a prototype robot, and these things still require human assist. And I'll just say that the video is available online. You can see it side by side with the Unitree robot, which is untethered. The Unitree is untethered and doing very sophisticated moves, including martial arts and everything else, much more sophisticated than Optimus. Optimus is still tethered, like it's being suspended by a little wire, from an overhead crane, basically. So it's being fed information and compute power probably through that cable. But nonetheless, they made advances to the point where it's doing some pretty smooth dancing. And also, they're demonstrating more sophisticated hand capabilities for the Optimus robots. And that's really important. The hand is really essential for a humanoid robot. And so Tesla may have some advantages there in the advancement of their hands. The thing that's interesting about the Optimus robot is they're planning to have a price somewhere around $30,000. And Elon Musk tells his investors that, Tesla is going to sell millions of these to households. So that's an interesting, projection. Unitree's robots are, this is a Chinese company, a competitor to Tesla in the robotic space. They're planning a robot model that's around the $15,000 mark. So these are numbers that, are much less than a car today, right? So you can imagine a whole sort of lone economy being created around humanoid robots in our households. And Tesla's saying this is just a couple of years away. They said they could start selling the robot to outside customers next year. I don't think that's going to be for home use quite yet, but they'll be trying to sell them in sort of industrial applications, I'm sure.
So Tesla robot, 30,000, subscription to cable in your ceiling, like a cool 12,000 a month, maybe. Like, what is happening? And also, the Unitree robot is 15,000. But if you buy it on any day other than the fourth Tuesday of the month, your tariff is spin to win 149 million, whatever, right? Like, these are very
Right.
cool innovations, but this also seems like Tesla again saying, um, like, all right, this is awesome, but is this a robot or is this a robotic marionette right now? Because that seems to be what they do, right? Like, show me how it moves without the human dancing is more interesting to me, right? I mean, like, sorry,
Yeah.
I am
No,
I'm skeptical.
if it is connected by a cable and everything like that, that makes it less appealing to me because I want full autonomous, kind of capabilities. Well, I mean, in some fields, anyways. But yeah, I if you saw those two next to each other, it's easy to see which one seems far more impressive. Now, I did
Right.
want to weave another science story off of your mentioning of robotic hand capabilities, Andy, and so this university, the EPFL. So I apologize to all of the French speakers out here. The École Polytechnique Fédérale de la Science. I don't know if that's accurate at all, but it sounded cool, so I apologize for that. But the EPFL, they're designing a robotic hand that can pick up 24 different objects with human-like movement, um, and that movement emerges spontaneously, not pre-programmed. So that's the big takeaway for this story. So if you haven't really thought about it, it's like when you pick up something like a cup or a bottle or something like that, the materials and structures in your hand do a lot of the work, right? Because you have soft materials, they're built to have some natural gripping techniques and features, and a lot of the feedback you get from gripping something, right, with your hand is a way to control it, lift it, move it, and things like that. And what's interesting about that is that's fairly autonomous. It's fairly automatic because of the nature of the materials themselves. So their design for the robotic hand relies more on exploring those capabilities or those compliances in for a robotic hand, as opposed to programming exactly the amount of pressure you need to hold that particular object, knowing the where its spatial connection and all of these pre-programmed things. So that's I think a significant chunk of the overall embodied AI that we're going to see in the future is these kinds of technologies that get you closer and closer to human or animal-like replication. Now, I do have a few more stories, but Beth, do you have something?
I just want to pull in Gareth's comment. Unless you use the force and are able to levitate things, so maybe we would just skip right over needing to hold something. And
Well, here's the thing, right? If we do get those direct neural interfaces and we can control devices, and the devices have the movement capabilities built in, then it's like, bring it to me. But yeah, the force, you could argue. Okay, that's going to take up too much of this
join
show.
us.
Yeah, join us on Friday, and we can discuss more of that in detail. I did have a couple of quick science stories. So one of the approaches that scientists have been designing robots for is for exploration, data collection, things like that. And one of the places that we need more information on is the sea, right? And so traditional submarines require a lot of investment, both in time, funds, all of those kinds of things, to build something to take people down there. So there's been a lot of development in probes, right? Can we have little autonomous vehicles going out there, little drones, underwater drones, to collect this information? Now, that has met some resistance because the smaller the devices, the more it will be affected by underwater turbulence, right? Various conflicting currents, strong streams, all of those kinds of things that are in underwater. So if you've seen Nemo, the sea turtles, when they catch those underwater streams and are totally surfing underwater, that's for real, right? Those kinds of things exist. And so, and that's a difficulty for underwater probes. So Caltech engineers have come up with a simple submarine robot that takes advantage of those turbulent forces that allow it to propel itself through water. So they've basically built these prosthetic hats to put onto like jellyfish. And the jellyfish, so basically it's like a sensor, a sensor hat, and the jellyfish go with the flow, right? So they've developed along those lines. They've developed a method to basically surf those jet streams, essentially, which will allow us to learn more about the ocean, realize more of the steps that we have to take to make sure it remains clean and good. But I think this path of developing the robotics to take advantage of the natural systems is going to help propel science a lot further.
Ooh, propel. Nice.
There you go. There you go. All right. So that's my big science thing. I did the other science stories we've already covered in healthcare and things like that. Thank you, Andy. Does anybody have another story? Oh, Beth,
I have
what do you
I
got?
have 2 more stories, related to government and actually also relating to education. The first is, Trump fired the US Copyright Office director, after the Copyright Office,
Mm,
published a report that questioned whether AI companies could legally scrape copyrighted material under fair use. So, like one thing happened and then the other thing happened. So, causation, we're not saying causation, but we're also not saying causation. The report advocated for licensing frameworks over broad fair use claims, and the firing allows increased industry pressure or follows increased industry pressure, and is being viewed in general as political overreach. It matters because it's a turning point in US IP policy, with a potential chilling effect on public oversight bodies. And it, of course, fits very nicely into at sort of putting a thumb on the scale for all of the AI companies that are defending themselves in copyright lawsuits, as we're moving through that, including OpenAI famously being sued by the New York Times. So what we're looking for next is legal challenges to this, and new leadership appointments. So who is coming in if this person is out? And so it's further fallout in the AI IP battleground, but we're interested in seeing what's happening. The other thing that is happening, this is in the UK. The UK piloted an AI called Consult to process public consultation responses. And the AI matched human assessments in both accuracy and nuance. And it's expected to save 750,000 official hours annually. Right. So this is one of those, again, like aggregating large amounts of data into a summarization. AI can enhance public sector efficiency without replacing people and might restore trust by accelerating decisions. That seems like wishful thinking, but okay. So now we're sort of watching the expansion of Consult's use across other departments, and its adaptability into more complex or sensitive consultations. So,
And where have they tested this? Through what
the
public
UK.
departments? In the UK. Did they
Yeah.
mention what public departments they tested it
I
with?
don't see it in
Oh, okay.
this, but
Okay.
I will post the link. This is a great segue also. We have a community at the Daily AI Show community.com, and after this show, we will be posting all of our links and sources for our stories that we talked about tonight. So go join us there to find out what what the actual article says and not my summary. Cool.
All right, I have some rapid fire ones here.
Go for it.
First of all, Gemini, as you know, is like at the top of the leaderboards. 2.5 Pro, the latest release from May 6th, really the plus ultra AI model out there. And now Google is announcing that it's going to integrate it across the full range of Android products. That powerful model will be the consistent AI layer connecting all of their device-oriented system. And so smartwatches, TVs, cars, XR headsets, all of those things. This raises the question, what about the other major local device operating system, iOS? And what is the AI underlayment for that operating system? And there's a big question mark there. Apple, how will you compete with Android in the next decade without a really solid AI platform underpinning all of iOS and macOS? So that's that one. The next one is.
Wait, I want
Go
to
ahead.
just comment on that slightly, because in my summary of that story, it says Google Gemini in Android Auto for conversational driving. And I was like, how cool. That's not exactly what it means. Like, you can drive in conversation with other people, but I'm like, why? Why not just like, hey, what did that noise mean? Right? Like, you just did a funky thing. What's going on? Do you right? Like, I want the car to be able to say, you know what? Just between you and me and Washington DC, like the sweet spot for me is 22. So can you just please set like the cruise control there and we'll just do that. Right? Like that, I want to have a conversation with the car. That's a conversational driving. All right,
Well, that's
go.
going to happen for sure. Okay, last couple little tidbits. Nvidia open source their open code reasoning models. And these are 3 different high performance models on small scales, 32 billion down to 7 billion. They're optimized for code understanding and problem solving. And they outperform OpenAI's O3 Mini and O1 Low on the live code benchmarks. So again, Nvidia is not just a chip designer. It has a whole suite of plays in this vertically integrated approach to AI. And here they are bringing forward a coding solution that outperforms O3 Mini. That certainly doesn't outperform the highest order of the coding platforms, but we're talking about very small models, like small enough to fit on your local device. And then finally, for all of you who have heard us talk about the major agentic products out there that are sort of packaged together to just allow you to give them instructions, the 2 main players are Manus and GenSpark. Manus is now free and has no wait list. You get one agentic, task to it, just a general thing, and it'll go about doing amazing multi-step, multitask research and execution. I've used it. I've tried it. You don't need much more than one free daily task. So everybody should be trying, how do you use a real agent on the web to do whatever you want it to do? Just tell it what you want it to do, and it's going to go do that. So,
and it's up to like 1,000 credits, right? That it uses.
That's right. Yeah. But when I first got off the wait list and I had the 1,000 credits, a task like doing a travel itinerary plan exhausts 1,000 credits. I mean, it's not, one free daily without, the 1,000 credit limit on it is a better deal than getting 1,000 credits. But you also get a one-time bonus of 1,000 credits. So you can do one a day, plus you have a bank of 1,000 credits that you get when you sign up.
Nice. Okay, well, I've got a couple of quick fire ones as well. These are on the creative AI focused. Alto University has done a research study about what makes people think an AI system is creative. Right. So their new research shows that people, it depends on their determination of how creative AI is in, creating. They use like drawings and things like that. Is determined by how much they see of the creative act. So this is more of a study on the people and less about the AI. But if people see more of the creative process, they think that AI is more creative. So something to think about and look at when we're talking whether about copyright and their findings on what what is copyrightable with AI, the entire creative process in general. It could be just an amount of how much is shown, those kinds of things. Beyond that, TikTok has announced that their new product or their new feature, AI Alive, which is a new image to video tool, right? And so this is super fun. This is a fun application because it requires very little input from the user. You simply can provide it an image, give it a prompt, and it will animate, right? Create an AI video out of that image. So I'm sure this is going to be a fun tool, a fun feature that everyone on TikTok will have a chance using. Now, I don't know anything about it. There was nothing in the announcement what the underpinnings of that model is. TikTok is part of larger organizations that do their own AI development. So this could just be an implementation of a part of that. We'll see how it plays out. And I am excited to try that feature out and see it expands my, creative options and things like that. Now, there is a there's a couple of uh, how should I say this? This is like AI insider tea kind of stories, which might have more impact than what's initially on the surface. Um, but it appears that the major contributors or AI researchers for the group WizardLM, which is a Beijing based Microsoft AI research team, is now working for Tencent. So, which is a very large Chinese organization that covers lots of different points. And one of the things that you might know them from is the recent updates to the Hunyan models, which is specifically about taking images and turning them into 3D generated models. So this is probably a little more pattern recognition going on for me, but hearing about these kinds of stories and talent is such a small pool right now in the AI space that when any significant movement happens, it could spell big things or terrible things for where they left and moved to. And then of course the OpenAI funded company Harvey, which is a legal AI tool, right, for legal processes, lawyer kind of work, paralegal stuff. They are now not exclusively just using OpenAI models. They are now using both Google and Anthropic models as well. And so that's a bit of a shift to the reasons I'm not exactly sure why they're doing it, but more options is usually a better thing for the consumer side of things. So I'm imagining it's just going to improve their offerings. Okay, that's my quick fire. Beth, you got anything?
I do. I have a final quick fire from Carnegie Mellon University, LegoGPT. Generating physically stable and buildable Lego designs from text. Yes, this is real. Yes, we will put the link to it in the community Slack, and it just sounds delightful. And I also expect that the Lego building community will have many feelings about this. So come and let us know whether this is like yes or like absolutely not. We would like to know.
You know what? It sounds awesome to me. I like Legos. What I really want to see is if they have plans for inputting scaling, because I'd love to see if I could build a one-to-one house out of Legos that are printed and it being structurally stable.
Nice.
So, awesome.
All right.
That sounds awesome. Okay. I think we'll wrap it up here. And thank you everybody for joining us. This is always a fun show every Wednesday. For those who can't catch us live, please follow up on our YouTube channel at the Daily AI Show. We've got on Saturdays, we've got the conundrums that come out. That's the AI two AI hosts that are talking through a possible conundrum. Those have been hitting really well and talking about some really in-depth concepts. On Sunday is our newsletter. So if you want to keep abreast of what we've done through the week, catch up, and explore additional stories, you can sign up for that on our website, dailyishow.com. And of course, we always want to hear from you and further the story or further the discussion at our community. And that's dailyAIshowcommunity.com. That'll take you right to our Slack to join. Lots of people in there. Gareth, Jen, the whole crew is in there discussing and furthering, different ideas, bringing us additional news stories. And this is also where we use as a method to release things that we've come up with. So hop into the community if you want to test out the new Sensei learning platform that Andy has built, and try that out. So you can get an alpha test of that, and also potential projects that community projects that might be announced relatively soon that we can all take a part of.
We have some hackathon ideas, so yeah, be looking for the poll.
Cool. All right, so that'll wrap it up for today. Join us for tomorrow, where we're going to talk about AI in sales, specifically talking about hyper personalization. And then on Friday is our bi-weekly wrap up, where we will talk about or extend our discussion on the shows that we've talked about already. It's also an opportunity to talk about all the news we didn't get to, and things like that. So thank you so much, and we'll see you tomorrow. Aloha.